I was 14. I was now 6 feet tall, 6'1". My parents were 5'8", 5'9", 5'2", 5'3". My sister, who's now 45 years old, she's 4'11". She weighs 98 pounds, soaking wet. So something wasn't fitting. So one day they decided, you know what I should have brought? I should have brought my family portrait from back then. If you'd ever have seen a picture in your life of something that did not belong, it was my family portrait. However, what happened was my parents told me I was adopted. I said, oh, great. Another thing to pile on my story. Another thing to me to rebel about. And boy, did I ever. I got a lot worse, a lot faster, because I didn't give a crap about what anybody said. Because I think it really started to bug me then at that time as well. That, man, why did my parents want me? And that kind of set in with me for a little bit. I promised I wasn't going to bring any notes up here, but I'm so glad I did. So the journey began when I found out I was adopted. And it began in a lot of different ways. A lot of people that know me personally don't know I was a private investigator for about 8 years when I came out of college. I did that for a long time. 8 years was a long time. And during that time, my brother, who I was raised with, told me to put my name into this adoption. It was like an adoption find agency of some sort. It was a volunteer thing. And he was my younger brother I was raised with. He was also adopted. Told me, and I said, you know what? It's a good idea. I will put it in there. The only reason I wanted to put my name in there is for health reasons. I want to know what, is there cancer in my family? Do I got this? Do I got that? So I put my name in, and I just wanted to get my health records. And then one day, right out of the blue, I got a letter sent to me. My brother didn't get one, but I did, saying we've located a brother. A brother? What the hell? I wasn't looking for a brother. So I had to go through the Children's Aid Society and go through all that stuff and go through my counseling, and on it went. And I remember going into the Children's Aid Society, and they wanted us to meet there at the Children's Aid Society, my brother and I. I'm old enough to do this on my own, but they want us to meet there. And I said, no, I don't think so. And then I'm not going to get any details, but the Children's Aid Society told me a story about my birth mother, who I didn't even think at this point existed. And they told me a story about my birth mother that I'll never, ever forget. And it made me get up and walk out of the Children's Aid Society. And 2 weeks later, I went and met my brother. And it was all good. Everything was cool. Do we hang out all the time? No. Could we hang out right now? Yeah. But it was a situation in my life and something I needed to do, and I did it, and it went well. I also found out my real name, Nelson Johann Alfred Crafts. That's right. That's right. Nelson Johann Alfred Crafts. Now it's Jake Justice McKenzie. I'm going to take option 2. No disrespect to the Nelsons in the room. There's nothing wrong with that name. That Johann Alfred. But you know what that did, that last name? What it did for me is I was a private investigator, like I said at the time. I thought, man, I might as well look into this now. They're telling me stories about my birth mom. They're telling me a lot about my birth family. So I thought I'd get right into it and dig. Well, you know, it was funny because I'm a private investigator. I'll get this done, no problem. You know how simple it was? I grabbed the phone book. Yeah, there was phone books back then. Anybody have a phone book right now? Thank you. Well, that's great. So do I. Anyways, grabbed the phone book and looked up the last name Crafts, Crafts. And I can't remember exactly, but I think there was 12 or 14 in the phone book. And 8 of them were my direct relatives. That's how simple it was for me. So I got on the phone, I started calling people. First person I called, now I found out after the fact, it was my grandfather. I called, he answered the phone. I says, "Hello, sir, how are you?" "I'm good." He says, "This is my name, this is who I am. Do you have a daughter named Nancy?" "Well, I might," and he just lost it and hung up. That didn't go well. But I didn't understand why, but he just got all frazzled, and that was the end of it. Called the next number down. Ended up being my Uncle Ed. Can't make this up. And I called. Uncle Ed answered the phone. I said, "Here's my name. Do you have someone in your family named Nancy?" He says, "I have a sister named Nancy." I says, "Oh, do you? Well, that's something." He says, "Well, I think your sister Nancy is my mother." He says, "I've never heard anything about you before." He says, "Okay, sir, well, I'll let you go." And he says, "You know what? Hang tight." He goes, "I'll call my sister, and I'm going to talk to her about you. And you wait at your phone. You wait there, and once I have the information, I'll call you back. If you don't hear from me, don't call me." All right. Hung up the phone. Longest hour of my life. Sitting waiting for that phone to ring, not knowing if it was going to. It did. Phone rang. "How are you doing, sir?" "Yeah. Everything's good." "That's incredible. By the way, sir, I just wanted to let you know, I just talked to my sister Nancy, and here's her phone number. You can give her a call right now. You're about to talk to your mother." And I didn't know any of it. No one in the family knew anything about this, but I was going to talk to my mom. Long story short, I spoke to her. I found out I had a full sister, 2 half-brothers, grandfather, 4 uncles. I was loaded. Took me 3 times to go meet my mother and my full sister. I was on my way to meet them. I chickened out, drove home. But I went to meet them. I did. Everything was great. Then they had a giant barbecue. She lived in a horse farm in Putnam. Long story short, with that, out of that horse farm, I should go back and talk about my real father. He was the first person I talked to about going to meet these people. And he says, "Jake, these things can be great and these things can be terrible. It's up to you." I went to that barbecue out of that horse farm. I took my dad with me. We spent the whole day out there. The dad that I never had any respect for. Well, I had a little bit of respect by this time, but I was a bad kid. And we stayed the whole day there. And I'll never forget that day, leaving the horse farm at the end of the barbecue with 60 people, family from who knows where they came from, meeting my dad and I. And I'll never forget driving down the laneway that day. And this is one of the only things I remember with that barbecue is driving down the laneway that day to head back to my place. And I got my dad to slow down at the end of the laneway because we're down the end. And I remember I just looked at my father and I said, "Thank you." For what? Just thanks, Dad, for being the person that you were, being the person, helping me become the person that I am, and for making me the person that I am today. Because if it wasn't for him, and it wasn't for the life, my adopted life and being adopted, I honestly don't feel I'd be here today. So that's how that kind of ended. And you know, I've learned to appreciate who I am. I've learned to appreciate what I got, not what I've lost. I've learned to appreciate the future and what's coming up. And I've learned to appreciate my family, know how to take care of them and raise my kids the same way my parents raised me. I tried to make it funnier. I couldn't do it. But thank you very much for having me tonight.